Hey, it's another Friday. My son is at soccer, so I am in the car talking to y'all. Hi, everyone. Hope you're doing well. It's B from B Loves to Love with another Car Chronicles. I don't know. I can't say. I'll say that I haven't been doing a lot of reading because I don't think I have. It's been taking me, especially these last months since Thanksgiving, a lot longer to finish books. It's a combination of me just not wanting to finish anything. Not that the books are bad, it's just like my attention span is like nil to nothing lately. Even at work, I won't say struggling to finish work because I'm finishing it. It's just taking me longer than it typically would. Excuse me. And the same holds true for some of the books. Like, they're interesting. You know what? Actually, I know what the problem is. Some of the books I've been reading lately start off really well and keep my interest, and then they're falling apart by like close to the middle, and they're not picking up a lot to make me want to get to the end. So I read another mafia book, again, another one that I was stalked on Instagram and Facebook to get, and it was under Kindle Unlimited, so it wasn't like it was a chore to read. But it was another one where I read the sample. The sample was interesting. It was an interesting premise, I'll say. I mean, as interesting as a mafia book can get. But then, as I got more into the book, I'm like, either one, I don't like the characters, male or female. Two, the writing just didn't hold up. It wasn't great. Like, for some of the samples, you can kind of, you know what you're gonna get. Like, it's not gonna be awesome sometimes, but you're like, okay, well, if the story is interesting enough, I can get through some of these challenges. But some of these, I'm just like, do I really want to finish? And most of them I do, I'll say, because I'm interested or invested enough to want to know how they get to their happily ever after. I did read one that was a happily for now. And I'll say it was happily for now because it wasn't obvious that the main characters were going to stay together. Like, it wasn't quite clear that was actually what's going to happen. Like, they were engaged, they were doing wedding stuff, but it didn't conclude with them getting married. Now, that's not to say that getting married automatically means that it's a happily ever after. It was just, there was enough drama going on in the book, and it was book one in a series of a lot of books, that you just know that things were going to get real weird and real messy throughout the other books. And I'm not going to continue on with that series. The book I'm reading now was one that I had initially purchased, rented, bought, whatever, in 2000. And I'd read it, I don't know when, but I'd read it between now and then, because I reread it today or this week, because I had gotten book 2 for my birthday in April. And I hadn't read it yet, because you know what our problem is. We buy a lot of books. We have a lot of books that we've purchased that are downloaded on our Kindles or iPads that we just don't get to. So I am no different. But so I had book 2, and I wanted to go back and read book 1. Because first, okay, I'm sorry. I know I'm jumping all over the place. But when I got book 2, I was like, okay, this is the book I'm going to read. I was like, let me go back and look at what book 1 was about. But let me first see what I rated it. And I rated it a 4.5. Now, I've read some great books, and I've read some not so great books. I am not one of those people who will give a book a 1 unless it is straight up trash and I don't finish it. Even if I don't finish it, I'm inclined to give you a 2, because you did more than I could do. I don't believe I can actually write a book. Can I? I don't know. I've never tried, but I can't say that I can actually write a book. You wrote a book. I don't like your book, but you did do more than I do. So for that, I gave you 2 out of 5 stars for credit, right? This book I gave 4.5. So I'm like, well, now I got to read it again to see if the me in 2024 would still give it the same grade as the me that read it in 2020. And yes, I would. No, I probably would have given it a 4, not a 4.5, because there were some issues that the me now would not be so lenient on, meaning like a lot of wishy-washiness, The writing was fine. The sex scenes were fire. It was just some things that I'm like, y'all are too grown to be behaving like this. But I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I'm not mad at the grade. I reviewed it and gave it a 4.5 again because it was fine. So now I'm reading book 2, and I'm like, okay, this book I think is going to hold me through. It's got enough interesting plot points. I like the characters. I like the family. It's a family of 4 boys and a sister. And if memory serves, by looking at the series, I think every sibling gets a book. So I'm interested to know kind of like what the dynamic is going to be between them all. So yes. So all that to say, it's been challenging to read, except I think I now have found, at least 2 books that are going to keep me invested. I have not purchased the other books in the series, but based on how I feel about book 2, I might go ahead and do that, which is ridiculous because, again, for any of us who do this, you have enough books. I have enough books right now in my purchased saved file in Kindle to where I should not have to buy another book for 2 years. It is obscene the number of books that I have bought that I haven't read. And yet, what do? We buy more books because you don't want the book to go away. Well, granted, it still could go away. It's Amazon. They could decide that they're no longer offering that book and what you paid for is not available anymore. But that's neither here nor there. But you get into a series, you buy the whole series, something messes up, and then you're on to another series or another book. Or maybe you're reading about dragon shifters, and then you're no longer in the mood to read dragon shifters. So then you shift and read something else, and you forgot that you had purchased this whole series, and then you get back in your dragon shifters era. Then you go back and you realize you've got 50 books that you can read that fit that genre. It's ridiculous, but we don't stop because this is what we do. Anywho, so all that to say, I hope that your end of year reading is going well. I hope your end of year is going well. I hope you had a good Thanksgiving. Indigenous peoples, I know Columbus Day is technically Indigenous Peoples Day, but you know what? All days should be Indigenous Peoples Day. I hope you had a good holiday. I hope if you celebrate Christmas, you have a good Christmas, a good Kwanzaa. I will probably be back between now and then because these travel soccer coaches don't seem to care about holidays and vacations and things of that sort. So he's freezing out there in the cold, and I am in my car nice and warm, so I'm not going to complain too much. But I hope you're well. Happy reading. Talk to you later. Bye.